weekend coffee break with Frank and Friends.
And you know, of our many editions of a coffee break here on Facebook Live, many of them have had an eclectic collection of guests. But today has got to be, without question, the most eclectic, and I know you're going to love every minute of it. Thank you for joining us, and of course, as always, talk back to us here on Facebook. Post your opinion about everything we are going to talk about. Let me introduce everybody who's here.
No, wait a second. Listen, just tell them, look, listen, Frank was right about everything except I don't want to know about your opinion, okay?
And we're off the rails already, so
here we go, 10:01, right?
Yeah, we're off to a fine start. First of all, we have two very well-known Rhode Island celebrities here. Rhode Island Secretary of State Nellie Gorbea and Zach Green, of course, will talk about weather for the events we're going to talk about in the next couple of days. And of course, we have two national celebrities among us here as well. Please don't offer any opinions to Meat Loaf.
Feel free, because I will write them right back at you. You send me an opinion, you're not going to want to see mine back.
That's
okay?
right.
Get it together.
Oh, my. All right.
Nellie can't do that. I can.
Meat Loaf is here because he's involved in the great Comic-Con event, which starts later today. And Steve Grad is with us as well. You may know Steve as the autograph authentication expert on the great cable TV show Pawn Shop. Yeah. And we want to thank both of you for joining us today. The Comic-Con starts later today. And as you know, it's much more than about comic books nowadays. Along with the comic book creators and characters and exhibitors, the recent editions of Comic-Con features a lot of celebrity guests, the kind of people who have a Bat Out of Hell trilogy album series, and those who check out autographs.
Yeah, I'm going to sign one in a minute, see if he can authenticate it.
Well, just right here in person?
Yeah.
If you didn't bring it up, I was going to ask. And I guess everybody wants to know, are you going to sing at any time during the event this weekend, or just...
Only if you do.
I've done that.
That's the thing, is the weird part is we've sat here plenty of times and had a nice little duet, so I'd like to see
Okay, well
this
then
go
I'm
on at
sorry
some
I
point.
brought that up.
This guy's amazing, as you know. Movie star and many music videos. Album after album after album since your first one in, what, 1977? Occasional stage play?
No, that's what I did. That's what I studied.
All right, so...
I've studied acting, and I started, and I was, when I was a senior in high school, I was voted one of the 10 best actors in Dallas, and as a senior in high school play, and then in college I studied. I couldn't figure out what I was going to do, because I went up to Texas Tech to play football, because all I wanted to do was play pro football. But I had this other thing that I was pretty good at, and I was like being funny. And so I went to Texas Tech, but they ended that really quick. Some coach back when I played in like early BC, the coaches used we didn't have leather helmets, we had like wood helmets, and so the coach grabbed me and said, "Get in there on the punt." And I go, "I've never been on a punt. Do you know what to do?" And he threw me in there, and I got high low and dislocated my knee, my shoulder, had my 18th concussion.
Wow. 18.
Well, not then, 11th concussion, and the doctor said, "You're done."
Oh my. Well, aside from what I've already said you've accomplished,
and I did two Shakespeare's as well.
Well, all right. What do you do next? Where do you go from here? What else do you do from now on?
Well, I'm hoping to go to South Africa and play a German scientist in a film. Right. I just had to turn down one because of my back, which is too bad.
All right.
One of the best roles I've ever seen. Except for I'm here to help Nellie campaign.
I'll take it.
Yeah, why
not? Everything we've seen in the campaign this year.
Have you lost control of the show?
Well, of course I have. But with everything we've seen in the campaign this year, that's the next logical step. All right, you've offered to do an autograph for Steve here. What will be your role, Steve, at Comic-Con this weekend?
Well, I'm here with Beckett Authentication. Also, you guys see me on the History Channel Pawn Stars. Do the same thing. We authenticate autographs, and just like this weekend, he'll be signing there. And we will. What are you signing here?
Babe Ruth.
Perfect. Was it that? Babe Ruth?
Pretty close.
Yeah, it's
What do you think, Steve?
I think it might be bad.
Tell them it's original. Yes,
It's original.
It's original, and we'll sell this one cheap. They normally go for about $7,000. This one we'll let you have for $600.
Not the real thing. Yeah.
In the next 15 seconds. Start the clock, people. Okay.
But that's what I'll be on site authenticating autographs, so people will get his signature, and they'll bring it over to us to authenticate. So we'll be in the autograph.
Just
folder.
curious now,
Yeah.
when you do these kinds of things at these kinds of events, what's the percentage that you've determined are legit autographs versus the bogus ones?
The stuff that's brought in by the public will usually run about 30 to 40% bad.
Really?
So we'll end up seeing, and right now, the hottest thing out there is Red Sox.
Of course.
So we have, a lot of Red Sox stuff we'll see, and it's always been that way. People buy stuff not knowing if it's good or not. They buy stuff without certificates on it. They think they know better than anybody. Well, hey, I'm getting a great deal on this. I might as well buy this Chris Sale. It ends up being fake. So come to us, find out. That's what I do for a living. I've been doing it pretty much my whole life.
I know there's probably a lot of different aspects of it, but what is one of those first tells to say, that this really is?
Well, usually, forgers just don't know how to forge signature right. Meat Loaf here has a certain way of signing his name. I've seen his signature signed many times. Certain pressure exerted, certain slant, certain flow. People can't duplicate that well. They could get it down a little bit, but there's certain nuances that he does that someone else can't do, and you have to look for those things.
You've got a couple
Also
of
the
examples there?
spelling.
Oh, yeah.
I think so too. Yeah.
See, I brought a few examples, so you
Babe
see.
does not have a Z in it. Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
But I think this is one of the most popular autographs out there is Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones here, but also as Han Solo, heavily forged autograph, and look for certain things with the signature. And also, because it's a Comic-Con type related event, I brought one of these with Ben Affleck. So we see. I actually had a chance to witness Ben Affleck sign autographs in February in person, and through the signing, almost 2 hours, he featured about 25 different signatures. It was something I've never seen before, and I was there to witness it. I helped the companies out that were there getting the stuff signed, but he signed so many different ways. We were there to witness it, verify it right on the spot. Otherwise, people would have been like, "Wait a minute, he signed this way and then this way." He switched. Like if you switch your signature when you were signing 10 different ways in an hour, people would be like,
I do probably.
"But you're pretty consistent."
I don't do it on purpose. It's
Right.
just like little things like the T and the F.
But you stay pretty consistent with it.
Oh, with the M, yeah.
And you have through the years,
yeah.
and I've seen your autograph
Yeah,
through the
the
years, and it's always stayed relatively consistent.
I worked on that for years
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
Yeah. But it looks good now, so.
Steve Grad, Meat Loaf, also coming up, Kiefer Sutherland, Hayden Christensen from Star Wars Episodes 2 and 3, cast members from Games of Thrones, Stranger Things in Smallville, Elvira, the Mistress of Darkness, will be at Comic-Con as well. 3 to 9 p.m. today, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Oh, don't forget Lou Diamond Phillips, my friend.
That's right. There are many more, too.
Oh,
That's
it goes on forever.
That's just a partial list.
Now we're going to help Nellie with her campaign?
Yeah.
I'm not ready to go.
We're not ready to let you go.
Listen, I got up early and I'm not
You
leaving.
are here, my friend.
Yeah, so please learn some things about the Rhode Island election campaign and offer any advice you might have.
That's right. Well,
Did I
actually,
just
seeing
say that?
signatures, being able to see whether signatures are valid or not actually is a very important part for elections.
Oh, yeah,
I was
absolutely.
actually,
Yeah, that's a good point,
I was
yeah.
actually tongue-in-cheek going to suggest that you hire Mr. Grad here to check on some of the voter signatures for the applications. That process, of course, is well past that stage. Would you say that the machines are ready and the computer systems are ready? How do you rank what's happened?
So, no, I think, we're ready to go. I mean, the Board of Elections is in charge of election day and has actually done a great job of prepping for it. Learn from past lessons and things like that. They're working very hard with local boards of canvassers at every city and town. So if anybody has any questions, they can go to vote.ri.gov to look at their ballot, to look at their polling location, or they can call us at 222-2340 at the Department of State. We can help you answer any question you have about the upcoming election.
Yeah, the stuff is readily available online, perhaps
Yes.
more so than it has been in years past. As far as the different campaigns in the Rhode Island election go, the race for Secretary of State has been one of the quieter ones. One issue did come up last weekend in the Providence Journal, and now your Republican opponent, Pat Cortellessa, is asking to know, I guess his press release says something to the effect of, what other secret changes to the voter rolls did you make without telling people? And he's referring to what was released last weekend, that part of the dates of voters' births was eliminated from the records, and there was some concern that might lead to voter fraud of some kind.
No, yeah. So, I'm glad you brought this up because there's a lot of misunderstandings about what I did. Basically, in July of 2017, we, after consulting with cybersecurity experts, hearing a lot from people who are very concerned about their identity being stolen, took out the month and day of birth, but kept the year. So you can distinguish between John Smith Jr. and John Smith Sr. we give the voter list of the 780,000 voters out on a CD-ROM. We don't want to put all that information out there at this day and age. When that report was first created 12 years ago, nobody thought about identity theft. Now it's a real issue. So you can still look for somebody's date of birth, full date of birth, if you go to the local cities and towns or you contact our office. But we don't just give it wholesale. And I think this is a real big balancing act between the integrity of the voting process, making sure that we can hold people accountable through the voter lists, but also protecting the identity of every voter.
So it actually doesn't perpetuate voter fraud. You're saying it,
That's
it
right.
helps prevent
I
it.
think it prevents it. It still keeps everybody accountable, but it protects the identity of every voter, which is very important this day and age.
We might
I
as well
think that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Well, so you've got an endorsement from out of state, so that's a good thing.
That's right.
Why
I
don't we
can't vote.
Why don't we settle this by, if you can, just answer the rhetorical question Mr. Cortellessa made. What other secret changes were made?
So that part was really funny because I actually have been extremely transparent during my last 4 years. I'm a community advocate from many, many years. I came into this office. Everything we've done has been transparent. We actually went ahead and told all the cities and towns that we were doing this. So there's nothing hidden about this at all.
All right, so hopefully that answers both sides of that. Thanks for coming in, especially with what is a hazard of your profession.
I know, the laryngitis.
Yeah, right towards the end of the campaign.
Campaigning
season.
and motherhood.
Yeah, you needed me to talk for you. That's all.
All right, well, we might as well ask you, what do you do to avoid laryngitis if you got a concert coming up or something?
I do a show. I stop talking as soon as the show's over. I go back to my dressing room, don't talk. Go to my room, don't talk. And usually have a day off, don't say a word. And I don't speak for almost 48 hours.
Wow.
See, she doesn't have that.
Yeah,
She doesn't have that. No,
Especially in campaign season, you don't have that luxury.
No,
No.
and being a mom.
Luxury is the
Yeah,
word.
I go
That
home, there's no
too,
way I'm
yeah.
not talking. Somebody needs to do something that they haven't done.
Well, no, you could just do signs, you know.
Oh, just hold up large
You
signs.
know,
Yeah.
and if people ask you questions, you just go, hang on.
Yeah, you need a cue card
Yeah,
system in your
exactly.
house.
All right.
Might be a good idea for you.
All right, we've talked about some events coming up in the days ahead. Comic-Con this weekend, of course, the big election day next week. Let's check on the weather
gotta
for
take
both of those days.
A deep breath here after following all of this.
yeah.
Nobody wants to hear about the rain at this point, but Comic-Con is inside, so
Yeah.
that at least helps a little bit. And we
It
did
is?
deal with the rain. It is.
Oh,
We're
good.
good now. We're all right. Now you're okay? You want to do it?
Yeah, I'm
All
good.
right, we were a little skeptical before. But we dealt with the rain early this morning, and it really hasn't amounted to much, but heavy downpours to a point, 1/4 of an inch here and there. We are going to see plenty more on the way, more so for the evening hours and tomorrow morning. But you notice that a lot of the ocean state is enveloped in this green right now. So that is some steady, moderately heavy rain to a point right around the 95 corridor heading down towards South County. You're probably going to see some of those heavier pockets, but when all is said and done, it's going to be about 1.5 to 2 inches, and that means we could have some localized street flooding. The bigger concern for me, rather than the rain, is what happens on the back end of this system. The wind. Come tomorrow afternoon, it is really going to be whipping, which means that possible tree limbs come down, possible power outages are around, and the biggest issue is the fall foliage. It's just going to be littering the lawn. So come Sunday, we want to break out the rakes. It is going to be drying up at that point, a little bit cooler too, mid-50s for our highs with mostly sunny skies, and then another round of rain for early and middle parts of next week. But no 20s in our sights. We had that on Halloween morning. We thought maybe November would start off on a cool note. We don't have any shot of seeing the freezing point, which I guess is good news.
And I looked at the Tuesday forecast there, Nellie, with showers, especially later in the day and into the evening for the last few hours of voting.
So vote early.
No. So you can actually go emergency mail ballot today and Monday at your city and town hall.
Good to know.
And so definitely, if you don't think you're going to make it out on November 6th, go to your city or town hall and vote emergency ballot.
All right.
Can I bring up one thing real
Of course.
quick? Okay. Just telling everybody that there's a lot of celebrities here at Comic-Con. And if they're like me, and I know a lot of these people, and they are. And what this is about, yes, it's about, but mostly it's about being able to communicate and meet your fans that have, I mean, they've been supporting me for over 50 years. And it's really important to me. And the fan is the most important thing for you, anybody, for you
For
guys.
us too, oh, sure.
And
Yeah,
so we owe the most respect to the fan And I think most of the people there do, and I know I do. And I care more about my fan than anything. Now I said that on a serious note.
No, it is a serious
That's
note.
a rare moment.
I've said this for a long time too. Without the audience,
Without our viewership.
we'd be nothing.
Right.
Without the voting
Voters.
public, right? Yeah. And same with celebrities such as yourselves on a national scale. So yeah, we always appreciate. We never take for granted.
Saluting you
folks.
guys.
Salute is right. And we thank you for joining us today on Coffee Break. We'll see you again on Monday.